Hello, peeps, it's the Hillbilly Halfwit. How are we all today? And today, what we're going to be doing, we're going to go in detail through some of the asylum figures and how much money this is costing the UK from 2019 to 2024. And at the end, I actually found this stuff when I was looking for something else the other day. I'm not sure I was actually supposed to be on this government website, but anyway, the amount of money is unreal compared to what they did originally in the contract. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through quietly back at the start, and I'm only going to read out the red bits. This is going to take forever. So I'll rush through these first bits, reading out the red bits because they need to be read, and then we'll go through the last bit in detail because that's where all the money is. It's like an investigation into what went wrong. So I don't know how, I'm not sure I'm supposed to have seen this, but there we are. We'll see anyway. So let's get going. The content in this video is intended for comedic purposes only. The views expressed in this video are not to be taken as factual information or a representation of my personal beliefs. I'm critically reviewing the info and videos I show as examples. Now, I just have to put this up there. Since Labour came into power, small boat crossings are up 57%. So this thing that I'm going to show you now was before this. So God knows what it's going to be now. Right, this was what I originally went to look for, was the Workforce Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Strategy for Wales. This is what I originally went to look for, but then I went on to various things and I ended up somewhere totally different. But we'll just have a quick word about this. This was the bit where Drakeford's lot have been spaffing millions up the wall. So let's just go a little bit further with this. This is all this is their strategy now, this year. An internal recruitment of our aspirations. This is in Wales, okay? To promote disabled staff at a level which exceeds their population share to address current underrepresentation at all levels of the organisation. To promote ethnic minority staff at a level which exceeds their population share to address current underrepresentation at all levels of the organisation, for more than 50% of the promotions in the SCS to be women. Why more than 50%? What have men done that's so bad? I think this is quite sad to think everybody thinks men are all bad. They got to promote ethnic staff to more than that they represent in the country. Most of the Wales is full of nice people who are white. Just happen to be white. There's nothing wrong with them, is there? What a despicable bunch of splunts. Now, who's been writing all this? Who's been making Wales fairer because it's so bad? Considering that the people in charge of Wales for the last 25 years have been the same lot. So it's their fault. So stakeholder groups involved: Ministry Advisory Forum for Ageing, the Disability Equality Forum, the Disability Rights Task Force, the Wales Race Forum, National Partnership Board, National Sanctuary Board, the Faith Communities Forum, Gender Equality Forum, the Period Dignity Roundtable, or the Alphabet People, Human Rights. Oh, you know, the hangers on and the splankers of a life. Now, I went over to this then. So this is the new asylum accommodation contracts, and these were awarded from 2019 on, okay? So we need to show this to show how much out they were when they got all this money. So the Home Office has awarded new asylum accommodation and support services following an open and fair procurement exercise, apparently. So here we are. This is what they've done. They've given these contracts to these people in various areas. Sorry, I was hiccuping. So the Midlands and East England, Serco; North East Yorkshire and Humberside, the Mears Group; North West, Serco; North Island, the Mears Group; Scotland, the Mears Group; South Clear Springs, Ready Homes; Wales, Clear Springs, Ready Homes. There's some people making a lot of money here, and they are funny how it's all the same lot. So when we go through this, I'm not going to go through it all because it takes too long. You're going to have to click on it and read it yourself. So the AASC contracts, which will replace the existing Compass contracts. Compass is the name of this thing. It's the code word. So, okay. So Compass contracts have approximate value of £4 billion and are for 10 years. So remember this, these contracts in total in 2019 were for £4 billion for 10 years. The new contracts will commence in September 2019, and the Home Office will continue to closely work with the new providers, Compass providers and local authorities. Now, I got onto this. I don't know how I got onto this, but it was actually in dark for some reason. But I did it. I went through it anyway. So last year, more than 45,000 migrants made the dangerous and unnecessary journey across the Channel, travelling through safe countries like France to get here. Since 2018, nearly 85,000 people have illegally entered the United Kingdom in small boats. Almost all claim asylum. With record numbers of asylum seekers arriving on our stores, the government has had no choice but to open contingency hotel accommodation to meet the obligation. The unprecedented number of crossings has led to about 51,000 migrants being accommodated in hotels, costing the taxpayer £6 million every day. £6 million every day. So what we're going to now is the Audit Office. This is from 2020. Asylum Accommodation and Support Report. Value for money. Like I said, I'm only going to read the bits I've done in red, but you can click on it and read it all. Home Office provides accommodation support for asylum seekers and their families while their cases are processed. Under the UK government's international obligation to support asylum seekers who would otherwise be destitute, the number of accommodated asylum seekers has more than doubled since 2012 to 48,000 in March. So here we have it again. Look, 4 billion over 10 years from 2019 to 2029. That's the contract these people had. So it was only supposed to be 4 billion over 10 years. So remember that. Asylum Accommodation Support 2020. Key facts: 4 billion, 48,000 asylum seekers, 96%. So let's go through this in detail. £560 estimated cost per month for each accommodated asylum seeker, compared with £437 under previous Compass service. A 28% increase. 5%, the number of accommodated asylum seekers who have had to relocate during transition to new providers, compared with 10% of the contracts transitioned in 2012. 26 days, the average time the accommodated asylum seekers spent in initial accommodation before being rehoused in longer-term accommodation between September 19 to 20. More than 1,000 accommodated asylum seekers in hotels each night, 2019 to 2020. 47% of local authorities, 180 out of 382, have agreed to house asylum seekers in their area. So they've basically been forced to house people. Now here, look, this is what I was talking about. So if we go, this is the contract again. The new contracts have total estimated value of 4 billion over 10 years from 2019 to 2029. Well, as you'll see now, if you look at the top, 2024, the total cost for 1 year was 4.7 billion. So 1 year has destroyed the whole 10-year budget from 2019 to 2029. How come nobody's what's called about all this? So the budget they agreed was 4 billion over 10 years from 2019 to 2029, and the actual budget for 1 year of 2024 was 4.7 billion. Maddening, isn't it? The department is paying an estimated 28% more to providers after finding that Compass was underpriced and negotiating services improvements. The department estimated that on a like-for-like basis, the new contract should cost at least 20% more than Compass. The reversed auction process used to award the Compass contracts had produced sustainably low bids. Accommodation providers in two of the six Compass regions and two subsequently made onerous contract provisions in the accounts totaling around 216 million in its first full year. The new service costs some £560 per month for each accommodated asylum seeker, compared with 437 under the last, a 28% increase through the estimated. Well, as we've just seen there, 28% increase, 228% increase is 4.7 billion in 1 year, and they'd said it was 4 billion for 10 years. Bullshit, as usual. So you can click on these and read them yourself. It's up to you. Flexible services to meet challenging demand. Most accommodated asylum seekers have been moved from initial accommodation to longer-term housing within weeks, although some have stayed much longer. So you can read that there now. Same year, department may have negotiated changes to the contracts and pay more to achieve their aspiration and redistribute support asylum seekers more evenly across the country. See what it's doing? They're just spaffing them everywhere. In 2019, the Department of Local Authorities agreed a plan for the proportion of supported asylum seekers housed in each government region to reflect on the region's share of the UK population by 2029 at current volumes. This would mean more than doubling the number of people in the South region of department has not calculated what this might cost. Given higher prices in the South, we estimate this would be additional 80 million, as the provider in the South is already very close to accommodating the maximum number of asylum seekers in its contract. The department would need to renegotiate prices should numbers increase. Meanwhile, the department wants to increase the number of local authorities, 180 of 382, or 47% in March 2020, agreeing to house asylum seekers in their areas. This will be challenges as the local authorities face increased financial pressure. The department will need to consider the range of factors, such as whether more rural locations are suitable for people's needs. So they're spaffing them out to the rural areas. That's what's going on. They really don't know what they're up to. It's coming there's an amount coming in, and they're spending more money, and it's unreal. Absolutely unreal. Here we are again. So this is the new asylum accommodation contracts awarded. Refugee Council response: Wales Clear Springs Ready Homes. So you can read that. Just click on it, okay? Now this is the one. Investigation into asylum accommodation home office. This is very, very interesting. The National Audit Office scrutinises public spending for Parliament and its independent government and the civil service. We help Parliament hold government to account, and we use our insights to help people who manage the government bodies. The Controller and Auditor General, Gareth Davis, is an officer of the House of Commons who leads the NAO. We audit the finances, accounts for departments and their public bodies. In 2022, the NAO's work led to a positive financial impact through reduced cost, improved service delivery, or other benefits to citizens of 572 million. We'll see this now. So this is the report compiled. We'll go through this. The Home Office is responsible for asylum and protection in the UK. This is a bloody eye-opener, I can tell you. In the 12 months to December 23, there were 67,300 asylum applications made. There were 95,300 claims representing 128,000 people awaiting the decision. There were 98,200 decisions made in the 12 months. So there's thousands of these people coming here. Absolutely thousands. Initial accommodation, look, by December 23, around 1,400 people were in initial accommodation. Contingency accommodation is used when it is not enough dispersal accommodation in local areas. By December 23, around 47,800 people were in contingency accommodation, including 48,000 45,800 in hotels. Dispersal accommodation is usually houses or flats in residential areas in local authorities. By December 23, around 56,500 people were in dispersal accommodation. Now, if you read just below that, the Home Office has set up large sites as alternative accommodation to try and reduce hotel usage as costs to the taxpayer. In 22 to 23, it spends 2.3 billion on accommodating asylum seekers in hotels and expects to spend 3.1 billion in 23 to 24, which we now know is more than that. Costs and progress. The Home Office estimates that the larger sites could cost 46 million more than it said. The Home Office expects to spend 230 million on large sites. So them are sort of army barrack type things, which they all went tits up. So huge amount of money there. So increased demand for greater use of hotels has meant the cost of asylum support, which covers accommodation costs, grants, and local authorities, and weekly subsequent payments, have increased in the financial year. March 2024, the Home Office expects to spend 4.7 billion, 4.7 billion, 4,700 million on asylum support, including 3.1 billion on hotels. Remember, the 10-year contract was only 4 billion. So this is 1 year's worth. The contract was 4 billion, and in 1 year they've spent 4.7 billion. Why aren't these people being fucking sacked? Boy. In December 2023, the Home Office paid 274 million for up to 64,000 beds in hotels, 45,800 of which were being used. So most of them beds weren't being used. So 64,000 beds in hotels, 45,800 of the beds were being used. So I'm not going to be, what's called that, a mass, but that's 20,000 beds are empty all the time that we're paying for. It's the nuttiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. By the end of March 2024, the Home Office expects to have spent at least 230 million on developing 4 large sites. In January 24, it was accommodating nearly 900 people across them. So this is the barracks, really. It all went completely peak-tong. So the Home Office has incurred losses of at least 3.4 million developing sites that it will not use. While trying to find alternative accommodation quickly, it has looked at a range of options, including vessels, ex-military sites, all-day camps, converted office buildings, hard-sided tents. Before the sites were found to be unsuitable or unavailable, for example, the Home Office spent 2.9 million in 22 to 23 preferring former RAF base at Linton on Ouse, but later cancelled the plans. It's unreal. But when you look at the bottom, so let's go down here to the bottom. So the hotel analysis suggests that the larger sites will cost more than hotels. Hotel costs, Office initially assumed the hotel cost would be £143 per person per night, excluding VAT. Between 23, the cost of hotels range from 127 to 148 per person per night. How is a hotel costing 148 pounds per person per night? Somebody tell me that. But anyway, setup and fixed cost. The Home Office initially expected refurbishment and setup costs to be approximately 5 million each for Wethersfield and Scampton. These costs have since increased to 49 million for Weatherfield and 27 million for Scampton. They were supposed to be 5 million each. So they've turned into 40, 50, 60, 76 million instead of 5 million. 76 million instead of 5 million. You can read through that. I'm only reading the red bits, okay? Concluding remarks. The Home Office has made progress, but it's planned to reduce the use of hotels to accommodate people seeking asylum. But in rapidly progressing its plans to establish large sites, it has occurred nugatory spending and increased risk. The site at Scampton is yet to open. The Wethersfield and Bibby Stockholm are accommodating far fewer people than originally planned. It appears inevitable that collectively these sites will now cost more than using hotels. A shower of cankers. Right, that's that done with. This is what is going on now, peeps, regarding the Labour Party and Starmer. It's the new pact on migration and asylum. So this is happening in 2016. Not 2016, sorry. 2026. So they're agreeing to have a new pact where the European Commission initially proposed a pact on 23rd of September 2020. The deal was agreed on 20th December 2023 between all representatives of the European Parliament and the Council for the European Union. Now, Starmer went there the other day and he said they'd been talking about this. So let's just see what's happening in Dublin, okay? So this is already in force in Dublin. The Dublin III regulation, which determines which member states is responsible for processing any individual asylum application, will be reformed. Countries where migrants first arrive will newly be able to relocate a total of up to 30,000 migrants per year to other EU member states. The pact will institute a mandatory solidarity mechanism where all EU countries must either physically host asylum seekers or assist in other ways, such as financially or by providing extra personnel. A country can pay €20,000 for every migrant it does not accept under the mechanism. So that's what's happening in Ireland. Ireland and Denmark had opt-outs for the pact, but Ireland joined the pact. So Ireland didn't have to join that, so they've joined the pact on their own validity to pay £20,000, €20,000 for each migrant it doesn't take. This is completely insane. Now, this is what Starmer is trying to join. I still think we are in the EU and they're pretending to be out. That's what I think is going on. That's what I think's happening myself. So you've seen there the 10-year contracts for these things were introduced were spending $4 billion, and in 2024, 23 to 24, they spent 4.5 or 4.8 billion. Biggest waste of money ever. We're all potty. How these people aren't sacked, I'll never know. So sorry, it's been a bit of a longer one than normal, but please subscribe and share this out there. All the best, guys.